Breaking the Silence is a podcast that dives into the intricate and often challenging topics of grief and loss within relationships. Through insightful discussions, the podcast aims to explore how pain can be transformed into purpose, leading to healing and growth. By addressing themes such as inner child work and the journey towards feeling alive once more, this podcast offers a beacon of hope for those navigating difficult emotions. Ultimately, Breaking the Silence aims to guide listeners towards moving forward and embracing all the blessings that life has in store as they embark on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual fulfillment. I'm your guide through this journey, Renee Wallace, and I invite you to join me as we break the silence surrounding grief and loss, transforming pain into purpose and finding hope in the healing power of storytelling.
Welcome to Breaking the Silence. I am Renee.
And I'm Kelli with an I.
And we are so excited to have you here. And so, funny story, we just had really big storms at my house. And so my internet is out. So we are actually recording I am on my cell phone. So I have no microphone or anything, but we are just going to wing it and we'll go with whatever it sounds like. And so the show must go on, right?
Winging a prayer.
There you go. We'll see what happens. Okay, and so the other thing I wanted to share real quick is, I guess, two things. I need to do a retraction because in a couple episodes ago, I talked about this too shall pass being scripture. And so, sometimes you're just talking and gosh, if only I could fact check myself before I had released the episode scripture. But I will at least say often people, I did find out online, often people mistake it for scripture, and it did bring up different verses that are very similar to it. To that sort of thought process. And now that I'm on my phone and all that, I can't share those scriptures with you. But anyways, it is not actually scripture. God does not actually say, this too shall pass. And so, with that being said, I am an imperfect person that makes mistakes. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that. And then on the same topic of making mistakes, I had said at one point with dismissive avoidance about the 3 C's. And one of those, I believe I said, was connection. And what I should have said was commitment. I mean, they want connection. They long for that. They are scared of commitment. They are often going to be the ones to be like, why do we need to label it? Let's just see where it goes. Let's just have fun. Things like that. So for them, it is those 3 C's are commitment, conflict, and closeness. So anyways, so let's jump into today. So first of all, how have you been, Kelli? Let's sort of catch up on anything new or...
So I've been pretty good. I wanted to share a story about today. I think you and I have talked about, like, I had a tooth that I had a root canal on like a year ago, and then I've just had some problems with it here recently. And so I had to go back to my dentist had referred me to this endodontist who did the work about a year ago. And then going back to my dentist now, he's like, I'm going to refer you back to him since he's the one that did the work. And I'm like, oh, great. For one, it was a root canal, and I just don't want to have another root canal, for one. Secondly, it's so expensive. And so I went today kind of dreading it, but I was like, I have to get it taken care of. and they did some x-rays, which were pretty expensive. They already told me prior to going in, they're like pretty, they're like 3D like x-rays, so they're pretty costly. So I already knew I was going to spend like $400 just on x-rays, just so they could, really see the tooth and everything, or the roots. So he does that, took the x-rays, came in, and anyway, long story short, I'm scheduled to have a root canal done just on the one root, and he is not going to charge me to do the dental work. And I was like,
Okay.
thank you, Jesus. I thought it was expensive enough that I'm going to pay another $400 just for these x-rays and just the pain of it. But I'm hoping and praying that once I get that work done on Monday, that's it, because I don't want to get that tooth pulled, because I know that's going to be even more money if I have to get like the implant and stuff like that.
Right.
And yeah. So anyway, so my whole story about that was just how good God is, because I know God has known my heart about that. Like, just with everything, again, just the time away from work, just the dental work, who really wants dental work done, the cost of something I already spent so much money on. And I left there just like, God, you are so good. You're so good. And I was like, yeah. So he's just, and like, I thought I was out of contacts, and I know this sounds silly, but I was like, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to pay for contacts again too, and I got in my drawer where I keep them all, and they were kind of like back in the box, so I have like several contacts still left, and it was just like, oh, like all these good things, of all these things I thought were gonna be so expensive, and I'm just like, and within that, I'm just kind of like, okay, it is what it is. It is what it is. It'll all work out. And I think just, I just kind of was like, it is what it is. I just, I won't get as many boxes this time or whatever, it'll work out. And I, sometimes you just feel like kind of like learning that lesson, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, okay, I'm not freaking out. And by not freaking out, it's just kind of like two things that were pretty heavy on my mind as far as like finances and stuff. I was like, okay. So anyway, that's my story. I just want to say, sometimes, well, not sometimes, God is always good. And those have been two things that have just this financial, like, off of everything else has been really good. So
I love that. God for sure will always meet our needs. I tell my kids that all the time, like, you might not get everything you want, but you will always have everything you need.
Yeah.
God is not, He's not going to leave you. So
yeah,
that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that because I just spent a small fortune, like it's been a whole 10-month process of getting implants and blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I spent like a small fortune. I could have bought a car with what I just spent in my mouth.
I know, it's crazy.
Yes. So anyways.
I had seen this really funny video. It's like one of those little reels. Somebody was at a thrift store, it's like on the counter, it's like this basket of just all this jewelry and stuff like that. But in there was somebody's like a partial, but it's like the front tooth. Did I share that with you?
Yes.
It was hilarious. So I was sharing it with my sisters and stuff. It was so funny. And I was like, if I could just find that in a size 14 tooth, I could have that tooth pulled and just snap that right. I'll scour all the thrift stores.
Let's jump into our conversation today. I thought we would talk about secure attachment. So we've talked about the 3 insecure ones. We've figured out, we've talked about where we're both at and all that. But anyways, with secure attachment, it's not that we're trying to be perfect, but we're talking about because we want to learn what healthy love looks and feels like. Because that's really the way it should be, right? So anyways, so let's just sort of go into what secure attachment is. Really, it's secure attachment is when you feel safe being close to others without losing yourself in the process. And so it's formed through consistent, loving, emotionally available caregiving, or like in this circumstances for anybody that has an insecure attachment that wants to heal, it's developed later through healing and self-awareness.
Okay, so the key traits are You're comfortable with intimacy and independence.
You're emotionally regulated.
Communicates needs clearly and calmly.
Trust others without needing constant reassurance.
Can hold boundaries without guilt or punishment.
Awesome. All righty. Okay. And so I guess we'll even do that this way too, because now we're into like, this might sound like you if, and so we can just go back and forth the same, we'll do the same thing. I'll start here and you can do the next one then. So this might sound like you if you're able to express your needs without blaming or begging.
This might sound like you if you're not thrown off when someone needs space.
This might sound like you if you can comfort yourself when someone else is upset or distant.
This might sound like you if you don't fear conflict. You approach it with curiosity and calm.
I love that right there. That was a huge thing I've learned of just asking curious questions. Like, how come? Or what makes you feel that way? Or, just like really from a very curious perspective of like, oh, what's coming up for you? Like, what's going on? Is like, you're really just curious about what's going on in their mind or what's going on in their body or whatever,
Yeah.
So I love that. And that makes a huge difference, I think, in communication when we come from a curious place.
Yeah.
And so like, even instead of like, why, like if you ask somebody why, even though that is a curious question, I mean, you're asking the question, why tends to still bring up defensiveness and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas if we change it to how come, it's just that change of different words.
Right.
Totally changes like the whole vibe of the conversation. So this might sound like you if you feel worthy of love, even when you're not performing for it.
This might sound like you if you're able to give others the benefit of the doubt without abandoning your boundaries.
That's good. Alrighty. And I think even here with this too, we'll just take turns on this. And we're going to just talk about, I thought it was important for us to have real life situational examples, because we can talk about secure, but what does that really look like when you're in the situation? Right. And so I really loved the idea of seeing like how an anxious would respond to it, how an avoidant would respond, and then how as a secure person would respond. And I believe all of these, if I remember correctly, these are more like thought process. Let's go ahead and get into some of these examples. So example number one, the partner doesn't text back right away. So a typical anxious response or thought, I should say, is they're mad at me. What did I do wrong? An avoidance thoughts would be whatever. I don't need them anyway. But a secure response would be, they're probably busy. When they're free, we'll talk. I'm okay in the meantime. Do you want to go ahead and do example number two then?
Yeah. A friend cancels plans last minute. And anxious is, did I do something wrong? Are they mad? And a fearful avoidant is, I knew I couldn't trust them. And secure is, that's disappointing, but I understand. Let's find another time that works.
And I really love these because I really feel like they do put it into perspective. And I can totally see like, yep.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Me too.
So conflict in a relationship. So this is example number three, conflict in a relationship. The avoidant is going to withdraw or just shut down. Anxious will push harder and demands immediate resolution. Secure, this is uncomfortable, but I care about us. So this is actually something they are going to say to their partner. This is uncomfortable, but I care about us. Let's talk when we're both ready to listen. So, and that's allowing that space, again, like to regulate nervous systems and knowing, okay, maybe this conversation is uncomfortable, but I care about us enough to have that hard conversation. But we'll do it when we're both ready, when we're both got our nervous systems regulated.
Yeah. This is example number 4. Child is having a meltdown. An insecure parent reacts with yelling, shuts down, or internalizes it as a failure. A secure parent stays grounded. My child is dysregulated, not defiant. I can be their calm.
I love that one because sometimes I think, I mean, I've been parenting for many years, and there definitely are times that when my kids, even as teens, you're thinking they're being defiant and disrespectful or whatever. And yeah, maybe there is some disrespect in there, but it really is too. It can be. So they're just dysregulated. And if we can even say, like, we see when they're dysregulated, I'm going to remove myself for now until you're calm, and then we can come back to this and talk or whatever,
Yeah.
So,
and I think with that too, it's like, I mean, sometimes kids are just being brats, but are they really, because you think about that, like as adults, sometimes we have a hard time even expressing ourselves. So when they don't know, it comes out like that. And, when they say like matching somebody's energy. So if you kind of like throw gas on the fire, I'll give you something to cry about or something like that. But if you can kind of like bring them back, like they say a lot of times too, like if somebody's yelling at you and you talk calmly or softer, it really makes them kind of like stop and kind of engage a little bit more. So
absolutely. Because think about it. Like if we it will tend, like if we want to get a little bit louder than them, because now we're becoming a little dysregulated.
Right.
Well, now it's just we're trying to match each other's energy and top it, like that, and then it just keeps escalating is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like if we can, and if we can't right then, I think that's, like I said, even like if we're regulated enough that we can still be like, they're steady and they're calm, and talk with that very calm, slow voice, or even softer, like you said. I think that's amazing. But if you feel like you're getting dysregulated, and say, hey, we can take a time out,
right,
and we can talk about this when we're both calm.
Right.
So I love those examples so much. I figure, I mean, if you're good with it, I think we'll do a few more, because I just think it's really good to see the difference in how each respond. So, okay. A loved one is in a bad mood and acting distant. The anxious would think, what did I do wrong? Are they mad at me? Should I fix it? And avoidant will think something along the lines of like, ugh, I don't have time for this drama. I'll just avoid them until they snap out of it. And the secure would think they might be going through something that has nothing to do with me. I'll give them space and check in if it feels right.
This is, you're not invited to something you thought you would be. And anxious, well, they must not like me anymore. I must have done something wrong. Avoidant, whatever, I don't need them anyway. I didn't want to go. And secure, that stings a bit, but it doesn't mean I'm unworthy or unloved. I can process the disappointment and still honor my value.
And I think it's important to notice there, like in the secure, that they acknowledge their feelings in it, right? Like, okay, yeah, this does sort of sting. Like that sort of hurts, or I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah.
But so they acknowledge that, the feeling of that, but it also doesn't determine my worth,
Right.
And whereas if you look really at the anxious and the avoidant both, neither one of them are really looking at anything of like what they're feeling. They're just like the anxious. I mean, they're just making this, it comes down to stories like, okay, they must not like me or whatever. That's why they didn't invite me. The avoidant, whatever, I don't need them anyways. Like stories that they're creating of like, I don't need you.
Right. And they internalize it.
Oh, absolutely. And this is sort of not, I mean, it's off track, but not. Like both of those are examples of what an anxious and an avoidant do. An anxious activates. So like they're like, well, not necessarily in that, well, so like they activate in the sense of like, I got to fix this, like come close. Did I mute myself again?
No.
Perfect. Like when their nervous system is activated, they're doing anything to try and fix, come close, all the things. And we should do an episode at some point really going into like how that plays out with the anxious and the avoidant, because the avoidant deactivates. So right there where it says, I don't need them anyways, whatever, they're deactivating, and they will start to create, both of them are creating stories, but in different ways. Like avoidant will like start to create stories about why they shouldn't be with you or whatever, like things that are wrong with you, like little flaws or whatever, like, or just create any story they can to try to make distance there. Like, it would never work between us because whatever. And they could be really like minor things that you could work through very easily, but of course they don't necessarily want to talk about it, and they just make it seem bigger until their nervous system is calm, and then oftentimes they'll realize like, why did I push them away like that? And then of course, like they're sort of sad and feel the shame and the regret of like, why did I do that? I like them being around or whatever. And so anyways, alrighty. So the next one, is it my turn, I believe? Okay. Someone doesn't understand your boundary. Anxious would think, maybe I'm asking too much. I'll just let it go so they don't get upset with me. Avoidant would think, forget it. I'll just distance myself and not deal with them anymore. Secure would think it's okay if they don't get it right away. I can calmly restate my boundary. I don't need to feel guilty for protecting my peace. So.
All right. And you feel jealousy rising in a relationship. And anxious, they're going to leave me. I'm not good enough. I need to get closer before someone else does. And avoidant, I shouldn't feel this way. Jealousy is weakness. I'll shut down and detach. And secure is jealousy is a signal, not a shame. I'll pause, reflect on what I need, and communicate honestly if something doesn't feel right.
I really love these examples because it really does allow you to like really truly look at the story that's going on inside each of their minds,
Yeah.
Like if you look at the anxious, it is literally this story that this narrative that they're creating. They're going to leave me. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I got to get closer before somebody else takes them away. And, like all that stuff. And then the avoidant of like, that's wrong to feel this way. Jealousy is weakness, or being vulnerable is weakness, whatever. I'll just shut down and detach. And just these narratives and these stories that we share or we tell ourselves is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. What do we got? We got two more. Okay. A past trauma is triggered in a new relationship. The anxious will think, this means they're going to hurt me too. I need constant reassurance or I might fall apart. The avoidant, nope, I'm out. I can't deal with this. I'll just emotionally shut down and protect myself. And secure would think, this old wound is showing up. I'll take a breath, name what I'm feeling, and remind myself I'm safe now, and I can talk about it if I need to. I find this even, I see this one for me because I've admitted, things sometimes still trigger me. I'm walking through this with you guys. I'm healing too. I've done a lot of work, but still on a journey. And being able to even see when you're triggered and stop and know, if I'm triggered and I want to push somebody away, most likely, so say you have this moment where you have this really amazing just time, connection, whatever. You just feel all these incredible feelings for them. That is true. That is the truth right there. What you're feeling for them is the truth. And then say maybe you get away, and you have some time apart or whatever, and then you start to in our brains again, oh my gosh, like what it's saying here, nope, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this, and then to be able to recognize that and say, That's not true. That, like, to be able to name that, this is fear right now. This is fear, and you're afraid of getting hurt or whatever. And so when you can name that and then sit with it, I guess it basically says that there, but just it's huge when you can really start to challenge your thoughts and sit with it and be like, no, I don't really think this story is the truth.
Right.
Over here was the truth, where you had an amazing, incredible time and you loved being with them and all those things, you know? The other part is self-protection, and it doesn't serve us well.
Right. Right.
So, okay.
This one is, someone you love is changing or growing in a new direction, and anxious if they grow will leave me. I need to hold on tighter or prove I'm still important. Avoidant, good for them. I'll just do my own thing over here. No need to talk about it. And secure, change can be uncomfortable, but it's also natural. I can support their growth while staying grounded in who I am. Yeah.
I love those. I love those examples. Do you have any thoughts on any of it?
I really like them too. And I'll tell you, it's crazy because almost in every one of these, I can relate to the anxious and avoidant, probably in all these. And it is good because, you know, if that's kind of how you, for myself, like always kind of dealt with things, this is really good because the anxious and avoidant have always just seemed like the go-to. And then so you have to have like, so what should I feel, or what can I do to change the pattern or change the mind thought and stuff like that. So those secure ones are good because you're like, and that stuff just makes so much sense. I mean, the secure makes sense, right? But that we just do that anxious and avoidant, and it just seems like second nature. And, you know.
Oh, well, yeah, because we've been doing it our whole lives.
Whole life. Yeah. But I will tell you, this, you and I was talking earlier, and this was a situation that happened today. So I go to the dentist and I get a hold of my husband, and we're going to try to like meet up somewhere for lunch or just to get like ice cream or something. It was a total miscommunication of what I was thinking to what he was saying. And he ended up coming home, and I was like, first, I'm irritated because I'm like, I felt like within our conversation, what I was trying to convey, he should be picking up on. But again, it was just like miscommunication. So he was like, well, I'm almost home, but I can kind of backtrack. And so then I'm irritated because I'm like, I don't want you to backtrack because I feel like that puts him out. I don't want to put him out. I just want it to be perfect. Okay, we're both coming and we just on the way and it's perfect. Like, I don't want you to have to come back and all that stuff. So I'm like, just forget it. He's like, I'm almost home. I'm like, fine. I don't want you to meet me. You know, that's okay. So I'm really kind of irritated. And then I was like, I'm still out. I still want ice cream. I'm still passing Dairy Queen. So I text him and I was like, hey, since I'm still out, I can stop and get us ice cream and bring it home and we can eat it together at home. And it was just like epiphany, because I thought, I mean, I could still be irritated or mad or this miscommunication and stuff. And I was like, that was so simple. Still end result, still the same. You know, and I was like, okay. I mean, I got home and we still had a little bit of discussion over it, you know? But yeah, I was just like, wow. And it felt good, but still a little off. You know, I still felt like I had to, well, I think it was miscommunication. You know, I still had to put a little bit of my own spin in it, you know, but I was like, how easy was that? You know, instead of just being like kind of pissed off, irritated, cut off my own nose despite my face, don't get ice cream at all, just like, because I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just come home. And I was like, oh, why I have a car, I know how to drive, I know where Dairy Queen is, I can stop there and make a good end result. You know what I'm saying? But it was just so funny, and it was like, yeah,
I love that. I love that because, yeah, it still could be something really good. Like, okay, I'll get the ice cream and we'll go and sit on the front porch or whatever and eat ice cream. I don't know where you ate it.
That's exactly what we did. I came home, he was on the porch. I come up, I'm like, okay, so we're not sitting at Dairy Queen. We didn't eat there. We're now at home where we were coming anyway.
Right.
And it was just like, oh, thank you, God. It was really like, wow, okay.
And that's sort of funny because that's even sort of what I envisioned. Like, okay, just get the ice cream in and sit on the front porch and eat it. And there you sat on the front porch anyways and ate it.
Yeah. And it
worked out perfect.
Yeah. And again, not that, I mean, not totally fixed by any means, but it did feel good because I'm like, gosh, just what a different scenario. Because I picture me before, just totally pissed off, not getting my ice cream, him not getting ice cream, coming home, kind of this little fight. And then kind of once it died down, maybe then we'd be like, all right, would you and go and get ice cream together? And wasted time, energy, effort, and just, and then I took a nap. It was great. It was a win-win. Huh?
I said such a simple fix.
I know, right?
Yes. Oh. All righty. So let's talk about we've talked about this and all this, but in all the episodes, but we should still go back through it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you become secure? Of course you can.
Mm-hmm.
Becoming secure just really comes from healing, therapy, coaching, consistent, safe relationships. Like sometimes it really can just be even somebody else that is more in their secure. Maybe they are secure, maybe it is a secure person, or maybe they've already done a lot of work and they're leaning more secure. And so they can show up as that steady, calm, consistent, safe place. And that can allow the other person to start to heal too, because again, like when we see like it's safe, it's consistent, it's steady, like then they can start to feel like, oh, maybe I'm okay to like work on some of these things or just even show up a little bit differently because now I feel safe,
Yeah.
So it's definitely not about being perfect. It's about being present. And actually that made me think of something earlier today, actually the past few days. And just, especially as I would say a fearful avoidant and even a dismissive avoidant, when we have those moments that we want to, I'll use your terms, like run, right? Whether it's push away or like, whoa, you're getting too close, or just flat out run, I would challenge people to choose to stay, like to remind yourself, like, no, it feels uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
But those feelings are going to pass. I'm going to stay, stay present, So I don't know. I was just thinking about that because I think, and being transparent and vulnerable and real, there are moments and, that can come up and to just choose to make the choice, like, no, I'm staying, So, anyways, go ahead.
Well, as I say, let me go one step further on that too. So I'm driving and I text him, like, hey, I can stop, And so it was also his response and the way he showed up that made it different because he texts me back. So I'm in my mind, I'm like, if he says, no, I'm good, because isn't that what we say sometimes? That's what I say. No, I'm good. Kind of irritated. And I was like, if he says that, that's just going to, you know what I mean? But that's not how he showed up either. He was like, yeah, that would be great. This is what I would like. And I was like, okay. And then, I was like, okay, sounds good, see you soon or whatever. And he was like, okay, be safe. I love you. So it was also the way I showed up, but also the way he showed up, because had I not texted him, again, it could have just went like south really faster. And if he would have responded with just this, nah, I'm good. But anyway, so it was also his response that really made the difference too. So.
Well, I love Tom's response. And then I also want to point out now, because you saying that, like, do you see even there, like how you already in your mind was starting to play back, like, well, if he said this,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm like,
and I will catch myself sometimes even. And that's the stuff I'm saying. I still have my work to do. There's sometimes that because like you're like expecting, like, if they're going to respond like that, like you're already preparing for the negative, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that just takes a lot of like catching our thoughts and being like, no, like, let's not do that. Like it just takes practice. And, so.
Because I think within that, I was already kind of heightened, like, and then he said that I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, well, if he doesn't, I'll just stop and get it for myself. And I was like, no, you're not going to do that. You're not going to go get it by yourself and not get it for him. I'll show him.
That's right. Oh, all right. So how to build secure attachment. We've talked about this in the past episodes, but still, just in case you haven't listened to the other ones, to touch on this. Nervous system regulation is huge. I really just cannot stress that enough. Because again, like our logical part of our brain shuts down, and then we're reacting from our emotional memory bank, and we're going back to like past memories and like grabbing at things like, wait, this feels like this time, or self-trust is huge. Healthy boundaries, learning what our boundaries are. And those can be even as simple as like, if somebody is like talking to us in a way that we're not okay with, because you can't control them, but you can control yourself. That's the only part you can control. So you're not going to say, if you talk to me like this, you stop talking to me like this now, or whatever,
Right.
No, I am not comfortable with you speaking to me like that. So when that happens, I'm going to remove myself from the situation until you are able to speak to me in a calm way or a respectful way or whatever,
Right.
That's me just saying, I can only take care of me. So if this happens, I'm just going to remove myself,
Right.
Emotional attunement.
Meaning?
All right. So emotional attunement, to me, what it means is like being tuned into somebody. So like, that's how, like, attuned, like I think of like being tuned in and aware, like, so emotionally being attuned to yourself, like what is going on emotionally for me? Like, what am I feeling right now? Like, I think a lot of times we don't even ask ourselves about like, okay, why am I wanting to push somebody away or something? Well, what is it really about? It's about, I feel fear. I'm afraid they're going to hurt me or whatever, So starting to just, like learn what your emotions are inside you, being attuned to yourself. And you can be emotionally attuned to someone else too. Like, that's how I take it. Now you're going to make me to double check to make sure, but that's what I think of emotional attunement. Because I actually think in one episode I said, because sometimes your words just come out and it's not all quite there. Like, I think I said something, and it might have been last week's, about, again, like for like a dismissive avoidant, and even, well, for sure dismissive avoidant, they were emotionally neglected. There wasn't emotional attunement. Like, there wasn't somebody teaching them, like, these are your feelings, here's what we do with them. And that's where it even shows up in the fearful avoidant too, in the sense, because they didn't have people showing them. I mean, maybe they did a little bit, but like how to process those emotions or what they were or any of that. Okay, so reparenting the inner wounds, and surrounding yourself with safe people. I think that one is huge, because if we don't feel safe with people, I mean, I think it is a little bit more challenging, I would say. I mean, I guess, yeah. So anyways, surrounding yourself with safe people.
Right.
Alrighty. I want to give a few journal prompts, and then we'll wrap up for today. So a couple different journal prompts are: where in my life do I already show signs of secure attachment? I think this one is super beneficial if you're really like doing the work and stuff, to just start to acknowledge like where you see that you're moving in that way. Or maybe you already just do feel secure in certain situations, like perfect example, if you're thinking like you and me, like we just feel secure in our friendship,
Right.
And so we show up secure.
Right.
What would it feel like to trust that love can be safe and steady? What do I need to feel secure with myself right now? I think those are good. I really like that one. what would it feel like to trust that love can be safe and steady?
And the first thing that comes to my mind is scary. Isn't that kind of crazy?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the first. I just think scary. And why? Because that's natural. To be scary is unnatural, right? But
Yeah.
so.
The first word that came to mind for me when I read that
Mm-hmm.
was peace. But those are really good journal prompts to really sit with that.
Mm-hmm. I'm just laughing at the difference. I'm like scary and like peace.
No, but that is interesting, and that's interesting to compare to like, wow, what you see it as and what I see it as. Someone asked me the other day, we were talking about somehow, I don't know how, they got on the topic of death. And they asked me if I would want to know, like, when I was going to die. And I was like, I think I would want to know,
Mhm.
And it was so interesting. Like, their concept of why they would want to know and my concept is so totally different, like night and day, sort of like you and me, scary peace.
Right.
It's just interesting to hear people, and
Right.
what our thought processes are and stuff. So,
Yeah, for sure.
anyways. Alrighty. So just to sort of recap real quick, again, secure is not being perfect. Like we will never be perfect.
Mhm.
There's only one perfect person, and thank goodness we do not ever have to. That's a pretty darn high standard to try and live up to. And I'm so thankful that we don't need to try to live up
Right.
to the standard of Jesus.
Right.
So secure, it's honest, it's safe, and it's possible. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Do you have any last thoughts, Kelly?
No, I don't think so. Well, I guess in a way, it's just, again, like I see, I don't know if I don't know if this is good. This is how I think about the ugly side of myself rear its head. And I just mean because all that's still chaos and stuff, again, not being perfect. But at the same time, like I have seen a shift within myself and in relationships. And then I even had somebody very close to me I feel like could see that. And I was kind of like, because I kind of feel it, but I didn't realize that somebody else was kind of like seeing that as well. It was kind of interesting. You and I talked about that. And
Well,
so yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. It's just this has been very enlightening for sure. So, and I definitely think it is resonating with me. Even again, as something, and I want to say as simple as the ice cream situation, but really not, because I feel like in the past that could have been hours long of silence or just whatever the situation would be, or my own self just feeling like, so yeah, anyway, I appreciate this and kind of showing me these different attachment styles and the secure part of it, because I mean, it really is life changing. It really is. And to be able to put a label on these things and know nobody is alone in this. If you are, I'm crazy, I'm whatever, you're not. There is probably reasons behind that, not to stay that person, but so you're not too difficult, you're not unlovable, even when you feel that way, because I still feel that way sometimes. But anyway, so I think this has been it's just been really good to learn. So thank you for kind of like bringing this into my life and kind of giving me just kind of, I mean, I never knew these attachment styles, like that men are from Mars, women are from Venus, like I kind of know the difference, but to actually know that, oh, this is why I'm like this, or this is why I'm like this, that there's actually like, I don't know if you want to say science behind it, but anyway,
there is.
It's been pretty eye-opening. So, and I hope it is for the listeners as well, that it's helpful in so many ways, like you said, like to kind of regulate your nervous system, because I mean, that can throw you all out of whack. I mean, that'll give you like, you go no peace at all, and so.
Well, and I think that, yeah, absolutely. All of that is so huge and encouraging because I actually interviewed someone on my podcast like a ways back, and her boyfriend, like, she was going through these cycles over and over again. They get close, and then she'd push him away. And, it's just the pattern, their cycle.
Mhm.
And he was like, came home one day with a book. And he was like, I think I finally figured out what's going on.
Mhm.
And so she was like, whatever, I love to read, whatever, I'll read. And he gave it to her, and he's like, I think this might be it.
Mhm.
And so she decided to read the book, and she was just so elated because she was like, I'm not alone. Like, I'm not weird or crazy or difficult or any of these things.
Right.
There's a book about me,
Mhm.
Like that
Right.
means there are other people if they're writing books about this stuff.
Right.
And so that is encouraging in that, yes, it's nothing to be ashamed of or anything. It is science backed.
Right.
It's proven like by science.
Mhm.
And so I think that is encouraging to know, like, there's so many resources, like there's no reason to struggle through it alone. There are so many books. There are so many people that speak on every single social media platform.
Mhm.
There's courses to take. There's, if you don't want to go and sit with a coach or a therapist or whatever, great.
Right.
Do a course where you get to, just learn the stuff on your own and work through it at your own pace and whatever. There's just endless possibilities for it. So I
Right.
hope that it encourages everybody and yeah, just brings awareness to it because it really truly is. You're right. It truly is life changing. Once you know this, and then as long as you choose, like, okay, I'm going to take steps to work on this, then the sky is the limit.
Right.
It really is possible to be secure.
Right.
So,
And even as you go through life, even as maybe one partner might be better, because you might have a partner who, brings out the worst in each other. I've had that. I've had partners that I just feel like we just bring out the worst in each other. So even if you have that partner that is very good and patient with you and stuff like that, I know for myself, like if you, and again, I say it's like a big iceberg. I'm probably just like scratching like a very small piece of this iceberg. Um, but even if you have a partner that is very patient and they're very secure in themselves, if it's still within you, it's still going to rear its ugly head. Like that person is not the save all. You still have to, because you'll still have a trigger. You'll still have those things. So it has to be within yourself that you, kind of, lack of better words, fix it. So.
right. Yeah. And I think, sometimes people like that term, depending on like, just tell me what to do to fix it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, alrighty. Well, we are so thankful. Kelli and I both are so thankful that you choose to join us and listen in. We send you off with so much love, and I'm excited for the next episode and for us to just share more and just chat together. So we will talk with you soon.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking the Silence. As we conclude our time together, let us carry forward the stories we've heard, the emotions we've shared, and the connections we've forged. Remember, the journey through grief and loss is not one we walk alone. In the silence, we find solidarity. In our shared experiences, we find strength. And in our vulnerability, we find resilience. If you or someone you know is navigating the complexities of grief, know that there is support available. Reach out, lean on your community, and remember that healing is not linear. It's a journey, and you are not alone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being a part of this community. Until next time, may you find peace in the spaces between the silence. Please be sure to subscribe below and leave us a review. If you'd like to connect further, you can find me on Instagram at Coaching with Renee.